In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I hope you all will be fine. Today is Wednesday, 6th May 2020. This lecture is for grade 8. The topic is central nervous system. The subject is general science. So students, I want you to open your general science book and go to page 3. I hope you will be on page 3. In front of you, the topic would be forebrain. Remember, before this topic we have talked about the brain, what are the main part of the brain and what is the central nervous system. Okay, so in the previous lecture we said that the brain is divided into three main parts, forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. So in this lecture we will only focus on forebrain. Okay, so look to the book. Forebrain is the largest part of the brain. It consists of three main parts: cerebrum, thalamus and hypothalamus. These are the three main parts of the forebrain. Now cerebrum is the topmost and the largest part of the brain. It is divided into right and left cerebral hemisphere. The right cerebral hemisphere control movement and activities of the left side of the body, while the left cerebral hemisphere controls the right side of the body. Cerebrum is the control center of many sensory areas like sight, speech, smell, taste and hearing. It is also concerned with learning, thinking, intelligence, memory and voluntary movement. Now let's move forward and learn it in a diagram. Now in the front of you, the diagram of forebrain. Now forebrain, it is divided into it has three main parts. One, it is cerebrum. It is the cerebrum, it is the thalamus and this is the hypothalamus. Now cerebrum include all this part. It is the largest part. It starts from here up to here. Okay, and where is the thalamus? So thalamus is this round part. Okay, this round part is thalamus. Okay, and where is the hypothalamus? So hypothalamus is this V part, you see, it is the hypothalamus. Okay, so these are the three main part of the forebrain. Okay, so the largest part is the cerebrum. As you see, it is a very large part, started from all it is of the top most part of the brain. Then we have the thalamus and then we have the thalamus. Now if you look to the second diagram, this one, if you look to the brain from the top, it will look like this. Okay, now this the upper side, what you are seeing, it is the cerebrum. Okay, now this cerebrum is naturally divided into two parts. Okay, so we call the one is right hemisphere and we call the other is the left hemisphere. Okay, so this one is the right one and this one is the left one. Now remember, this right side of the brain or this right side of the cerebrum is controlling the movement of your body or the activities of your body of your left side. Okay, if you are eating, or sorry, if you're writing on a left hand, if your left leg is working, if your left eye is working, okay, the left side of your body is controlled by the right hemisphere, and the right side of your body is controlled by your left hemisphere. If you are writing on your right hand, the left hemisphere is controlling all that activities. Okay, if you are writing on the left hand, then your right hemisphere is controlling these all activities. Okay, now there are more about the cerebrum. If you take a look to the brain, what it really look like, well, it will look like to you in the same as the front of the brain picture. Okay, it will look like this. Okay, here is the largest part of the cerebrum. Okay, in reality the brain look like this. Okay, and here is the thalamus. Okay, and here is this V shape structure, it is hypothalamus. Okay, in reality the brain will look like, if you separate that one hemisphere, okay, and you see it, then the cerebrum will look like to you as this. Okay, now as we talked that cerebrum is the control center for main sensory areas. Now what are those sensory areas? For example, you're smelling. Okay, so it is controlled by this part. Sorry, it is controlled by this part. Okay, if you are talking, now remember it is the speech center is here. Remember, human have a speech center, other animals do not have a speech center. Okay, that's why they cannot speak, and that's why humans speak. They can speak in languages. Okay, so that's why other animals cannot. Now if you are hearing, it is controlled by this part. Okay, now vision is controlled by this part. Okay, now the movement of your leg is controlled by this part, the trunk movement is controlled, your arm are controlled by this part, hands are controlled, face are controlled, and your tongue is controlled by this part. If you remember all the sensory areas, the sense of smelling, the sense of hearing, the sense of seeing, okay, these all are controlled by the cerebrum, and these all have their own specific part in the cerebrum. Okay, and cerebrum is not only linked with the memory or voluntary movement, but the other parts such as the thalamus, sorry, the thalamus and hypothalamus, they also have their important work. Okay, and the important work of the thalamus is that it is a processing center between the cerebrum and the receiving sensory information like touch, sound, and carrying them to the cerebrum. Now remember, this thalamus, the thalamus, it is always connected with the spinal cord. Okay, so what is the function of the thalamus is, it is connecting the sensory information or the information which is coming from the body. It is collecting that information and it is passing them to the cerebrum. So in one way it is connecting cerebrum with the body. Okay, so it is collecting all the information or receiving all the information from the body and it is passing them toward the cerebrum. Then the cerebrum analyze it and then produce a response to that. Okay, and these information are mostly like touch, sound, and whatever the sensory area we have studied, they are taking all these information toward that area. Okay, now what is the work of the hypothalamus? So a hypothalamus is working like a regulator. A regulator means that it is detecting, like temperature of the body, okay, hunger, thirst. Okay, for example, if you if the temperature in your room become very hot, so your hypothalamus detect their temperature. Okay, and when it detect the temperature, so it produce response to your body that you should start sweating. Okay, so that's how you become sweating. Okay, when your energy levels goes down, okay, and you does not have proper food, the hypothalamus produce a response, and you and it the response is in the form of hunger. That's why then you need food to eat. Same goes with the thirst. Okay, so these are the work of the thalamus and hypothalamus. Okay, I hope you will have understand this lecture. My homework for this lecture is you should revise all this lecture, and you should find out how these all information they are going to the brain, and which part of the sensory area, if it become damaged, so what will happen to it. Okay, if the smell area is become damaged, so what will happen to your body as a result. If the vision side of your brain is damaged, so what would be the effect of that. Okay, thank you. Allah